All right, we'll start with the South region and with the 2 seed Michigan State, which is going up against 15 seed Bryant. We're going to pick out a prospect here, a man with a familiar name to fans of NBA teams in Charlotte. We're going to go with Jase Richardson, freshman guard for Michigan State, 6'2", 185, lefty, very left-handed dominant, smaller guard, but a good athlete. Nice vertical pop as a leaper. He's had some really fun moments in games that I've seen this season, blocking shots, including one of the rejections he had in the Wisconsin game in the semifinals of the Big Ten tournament, when he seemed to sort of levitate for a half second longer to reject the shot. This is Jason Richardson's son, Michigan State legend, former Charlotte Bobcat, very, very good NBA player for an exceptionally long period of time as well. Darian, I've got some other thoughts on Jase Richardson, but just your take on what you've seen of the freshman Southpaw so far this season.
I really like Jase Richardson. I like his ability to really hang in the air, like you were mentioning, whether that be blocking shots or contesting, or really just mostly on the offensive side, where he's able to take on contact and just hang in the air for a long time. Defenders are getting their second jump in before he even touches the ground, and he puts the ball up, and it just seems like it's automatic at times. I like that he doesn't shy away from the contact, whether that be him trying to score, him trying to pass. I do like that kind of ability to, he's a little smaller, being at like 6'3", but even amongst the trees, he's just not afraid down there, and I really appreciate that for his game. I do wonder about like maybe if his ability to be like the guard, just because his game projects for him to be more of a lead type of, the way he's just able to score, just have the ball in his hand. So you do wonder, like, can he take on those lead guard duties? But as far as like trajectory, his offensive skill, it's unmatched. I think that he's just a really fun player. I think that you also wonder about like the volume, like the way
Yes.
he plays.
Yeah.
I really see like, okay, he might can do it, but we just haven't seen it. But he plays as though he probably would need the ball in his hand a lot to be extremely effective. But will we get what we saw at Michigan State if he's, if the, let's just say the Hornets are like, all right, go out there and do your thing? Because Michigan State's so talented, he was really confined a little bit, not in a bad way. But it for him in his draft stock, I mean, it's great. It highlighted him in ways that teams are going to be willing to make that jump. But you do have to consider, like, can he do that when all the attention's on him?
Yeah, lower usage prospect, 19.5%, though that's gone up throughout the season. And he's played more aggressive since he got added to the starting lineup. And since Big Ten play started, he's a prospect that I would say his draft stock has risen as much as just about anyone's throughout the season. To me, yeah, Michigan State, they've had a very successful season. The offense can get stuck in the mud a little bit. And sometimes it's like, it's almost begging for more Richardson, for sort of like more on ball usage and equity for him. But he's been hyper efficient this season, 41% on threes, 58% on twos, 84% from the line, 64% true shooting, and drawing 4.5 fouls per 40 minutes. Again, very efficient for a smaller freshman guard. And I really do miss, I do have some gripes with his usage in Michigan State's offense, but I think they also run a lot of good actions to get him coming off screens, whether it's dribble handoff zoom action or floppy action or down screens curling to that left hand. Again, he is pretty dominant with that. But I just like him, taking on more offensive responsibility, more aggressiveness throughout the season. And with that, his efficiency has also jumped too. So just a really promising young guard, good pace, footwork using screens. And again, the touch on that shot making all really pops for him. I see him as a lottery prospect, pretty safely, maybe more towards the later part of the lottery, but I quite like Jase Richardson a decent amount. So with that, we are going to look to the, I believe, yes, the number 7 seed in the South. We're going to keep it moving here. The number 7 seed in the South region, those are that's the Marquette Golden Eagles of Shaka Smart. They're playing 10 seed New Mexico in the first round. And we're going to take a look at Kam Jones, who was named second team All-American earlier this afternoon. He's listed at 6'5". To me, he probably looks more 6'3.5", but around 200 pounds. It's like not bad size for a combo guard, not like an amazingly explosive athlete, but he's quick. His motor runs really hot. And I would say like he's got some good athletic qualities in terms of his ability to stop on a dime, change direction. And again, like I said, he can run all game. He's the guy who could have gone pro last season.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
And if you had asked me this time a year ago, I would have. He's someone I probably even said this on a pod at some point. Like he's a guy I thought with a strong March. Maybe if Marquette made a deep run, he plays great. Maybe that's the thing that sort of like buoys him to go to the next level. NC State knocks them out in the second round during their magical run. Look, this season, no Tyler Kolek, no Oso Ighodaro, both guys, rostered by NBA teams with the Knicks and the Suns this season. So he became like the central playmaking piece for this Marquette team. His numbers have really jumped. And he's enhanced his status, I believe, as like a late first round pick now with his sort of like development as a playmaker. Assist rate from 17% last season up to 38.5% this season. Assist to turnover ratio, 1.78 turnovers to 1.77 assists to 1 turnover last season. That's almost doubled this season. 3.3 assists per turnover, and he's shooting the ball from the mid range with greater frequency and greater efficiency. 46%. On long twos this season, up from 29% this year. 3-point shooting dipped a little bit, but that probably should have been priced into the equation with him, just because more on ball reps, more defensive attention. This guy was at the top of the scouting report for Marquette in a loaded Big East conference. And he played great while taking on a different role this season. So really liked what I saw from Kam Jones. I think he could make a really interesting pro as maybe a late first round pick. Darian, what are your thoughts on Marquette senior Kam Jones?
I've always liked Kam Jones. I think that what I really like about him is that he's put together four good years. I don't think that, I know his first year he didn't play as much and he didn't start that much, but I think that all his time at Marquette was just 4 really solid years. And I too wondered why he didn't go pro. I mean, there's always reasons for guys they thought they could go a little higher. And it seems as though it worked out for him. I think, as you mentioned, people are going to wonder about like why his 3-point shot, dwindled a little bit. And it does make you wonder, is that 3-point shot real? Because I know that a lot of teams still like to tie free throw efficiency to like they're being able to shoot the 3. So we'll see what happens there. But I mean, I know he didn't always shoot 40% like he did last year. So that's why I really thought he was going to, enter the draft last year. But I think it's okay. I like the combo guard aspect. I think you could add a little more defensively, but he's a guy that's just going to play. I think that we hear stories all the time about how guys play one way in college, they get to the league and they just want it bad enough. They're willing to change up their game if that means they can stay. And he just strikes me as one of those guys. And it's going to be helpful when, he's coming off somebody's bench and then he's still able to score. I don't think he's ever going to lose that. But then he's also like a pest on defense. He's a guy, big game. Like he's a big game player. Marquette has been in a lot of big games these last few years, and he's been a big reason for that. Like you mentioned, Tyler Kolek and also Ighodaro, who I really liked both of them last year. But to watch him, I think that he's one of the guys that show like why the 4-year thing is important. You saw him grow all throughout college and switch different roles, play different styles. And to me, he was successful in everything they asked him to do. I do agree he's a little smaller than what's said, but like I mentioned, I just really like a guy that has shown that he can play no matter what system, no matter how he's playing, no matter where he's playing. He's going to show up. I think he showed up in the NCAA tournament. He shows up in a Big East tournament. Like he's just a guy that balls out every time. So I really look forward to him, see what he does in the NBA level. I think once again, I could see him probably adjusting. I don't think he's going to become some defensive stopper, but I do think we're going to lose a little offensively, gain a little more defensively, and he's going to be around for a while. He's going to be one of those guys that everybody raves about. Is like, oh, how did this team miss on this guy? It's like, no, everybody was talking about him.
He I could see him fitting in a lot of different systems, but teams that really have like a lot of motion, a lot of like dribble handoffs. If you saw him play with Iguodala the 2 previous seasons, you kind of know like, Marquette has a lot of pistol action and they have a lot of like, 5-out initiation with Iguodala and I mean, Kam Jones was amazing playing off of that. It would be really funny to see him get to play with. It would be really fun to see him play with a hub, high post hub, front court playmaker type in the NBA. All right, moving on. We're gonna go back to the Big Ten here, and we're gonna go to the 5 seed in the South region. Michigan veteran big man D.Wolf transferred in from Yale this past offseason. So this was a big jump in competition for him this year. I remember watching him play for the first time against Wake Forest back in early to mid-November when they played in Greensboro against the Demon Deacons, a game that Wake won, actually. But Wolf is a striking player. Like, as soon as you put his film on, 7 feet tall, 250 pounds, has center size, but plays a lot of 4 with Michigan because he's playing next to Vlad Golden, another transfer big guy that joined Michigan this past offseason. This team just won the Big Ten tournament. That's a rather impressive accomplishment. They've been gifted, unfortunately, a pretty tough pathway in the NCAA tournament. He is a unique prospect, at least in this field. There just aren't a lot of 7-foot guys like this that handle the ball the way he does. You see a lot of 4 or 5 pick and rolls with him, between he and Golden, and Michigan's, offense, whether they throw it to him at the elbow or above the arc. They're going to give him a lot of those types of reps, and Wolf can really he turns the ball over a fair amount in those kinds of looks because he takes chances as a passer. I kind of like that he does that a little bit. But again, it's kind of fun to see him sort of like, either make crafty passes or, sort of like sling the ball all over the court. Has some shot creation ability to his own game too. We just talked about the size and the playmaking. This year alone, over 3 unassisted field goals per game. That ranks in the 97th percentile among forwards in the country, according to CBB analytics. So, and a fair amount of like unassisted threes too. Again, he can kind of do a lot of different stuff with the ball in his hands. So someone that it's very easy to project him just being, whether it's starter level or coming off the bench, it's easy to project him being in rotations, sort of in the way that like we could have talked about Kyle Filipowski last season too, right? Just because not identical players, but just 7-footers that can have good size, can play through contact, and can handle the ball in a variety of different contexts. So, Darian, your thoughts on Michigan big man D.Wolf?
I really like D.Wolf. I think that for me, maybe it could just be for viewing pleasure, but I would really hope that he really dives into this whole like point center thing because he looks so comfortable in the perimeter, whether that's doing a handoff, whether that's creating for himself, whether that's, looking to make the, like you said, the flashy pass. He just looks so comfortable out there. So I would really like to see him kind of lean into that a little more, because I think that that's something that, as versatile as the NBA has become, there's still not too many guys like him. And he's, in a way, he's able to do it like with his pacing. It's not like Jokic moves that fast if we're looking for another center that can pass that way. So it's exciting basketball to watch. And I would expect like some shooters around him. He could get really dangerous. He also is really good at finding cutters. He's good at, playmaking from the post. I think his shot is something that I look forward to as well. I think that for the rate he shoots at, and then his percentage shooting, what is exactly? I just had it. He's shooting 34% for a big. I'm not like too concerned as far as, will it translate? I mean, considering he's able to do so much offensively, I think you're willing to take a 34% shot, and especially with NBA spacing, I can see that even going up. I like his aggressive rebounding. He's just an all-around fun player to watch, but also I think that in the right system, that could be really beneficial. Like, I know we're not putting him with players or comps or anything, but I would really like to see him play like with a 4 that's almost like Evan Mobley that can kind of help protect the rim. Just guys of that nature. And there's probably more guys than that, but that's the first guy that came to mind, is someone that can benefit from him offensively, but also kind of have his back defensively, because that's not who you want out there running your 5 spot. And it's not like he's terrible, but you definitely are getting him for the offensive possession. So I think that he could be a really good, nice prospect in the right spot.
Yeah, I like Wolf. I'm curious to sort of see what the playmaking looks like on the ball in the next level. Like 4 or 5 pick and rolls, NBA teams can generally just like switch those and gobble it up. So I'm kind of serious to see what that looks like. I do think there's like potential for him to be like a hand, like a handoff hub and pick and pop kind of guy that can also attack a closeout or run inverted pick and roll. I think that kind of stuff intrigues me a little bit more.